People have been asking that I express my sentiments. That's because maybe people have short-term memory. I shared my sentiments long time ago about this, and I'm here to repeat that rationalization should not simply be a happy goal. And critical sectors, critical agencies must be handled by and with utmost care and adequate stakeholder consultation across the board. I am very sure that all of you have read the report of the Committee of Agriculture that was on the floor of Parliament and still on the floor because the debate is incomplete. The report only quotes two agencies that were consulted. One, the Ministry of Agriculture, MAIF, the owners of the bill, and then two, UCDA, the users of the bill. So meaning that for such a very critical sector and commodity, there wasn't adequate public consultation. Therefore, it was a half-hearted job done. Now that it has generated enough controversy, I think the powers that be need to understand that legislation is done on behalf of the people, in the name of the people. And if the people that represent the public are saying no, and they represent the voices of the people, I want to advise, as a senior legislator, that our rules are very clear. At any one time, a bill can be withdrawn by the mover. I want to strongly advise that this bill can be withdrawn and the rains will continue coming down the skies. Namely, to facilitate and enable adequate stakeholder consultation, such that the movers, the proponents, do not appear as though they have somebody in mind to defeat. One of the dangers we encounter as legislators is that when we are considering particular legislations, we tend to imagine that there will be losers and winners. A facilitative legislation like this one must not emphasize, must not have in sight or in mind losers and winners, but made in the name of the people, for the benefit of the people, and therefore it must have ears from across stakeholders. So a bill can be withdrawn. The Minister of Justice should not feel ashamed to return to his principles and advise a withdrawal of the same. Initially, the President said that he is keen on rationalizing all consuming agencies. But we all know that UCDA is not a consuming agency, it's actually a producer. That over the last 5 years, its contribution to GDP was ranging from 70 to 80 billion per annum. Those are not consumers per se. And we are saying, while it is doing that, it is under-facilitated. But also, if you're going to manage an economy as delicate and fragile as ours, particular entities must thrive as facilitators. You know, I've also heard the argument that, you know, they are consumers because we pay salaries to the people employed there. Yes, part of the duty of government is to employ people. So why should government complain by employing its own people? The demand from government must be efficiency. And you're not going to achieve efficiency by rationalization alone. We have examples. I have been inquiring from members of the committee, did you benchmark anywhere? And they said no. So where is the best practice we are borrowing from rationalization? We have had examples in Africa. Ethiopia is the prime producer of coffee in Africa. In 2008, they rationalized, and their sector collapsed by 50% after 3 years. They reverted to the agency. Kenya did the same in 2012. They collapsed. So why are we experimenting on such a critical commodity that employs the bulk of our people? I think if we are serious about what we are doing, the whole idea of experimenting on such a strategic commodity must cease. Very strategic that we cannot be seen trying to be experimenting on it. Probably something else. How do we, at this stage, embark on a process of recreating a monopoly? I've talked about stakeholder consultation. How do you make a law where you do not consult the private sector actors? Why the farmers, the crop owners, we are not consulted? Through their value chain. The farmers, the primary societies, the cooperatives, they're everywhere. Where is their voice in this? Coffee does not belong to politicians. The politicians have a duty to regulate it, but in the interest of the people and by consulting with the people. Any other emerging issues like I have heard over the last 2-3 days, including matters relating to what the speaker said or did not say, speak to one serious thing, that we have failed to understand what we are supposed to do, and we're excited about rationalization regardless of the consequences. And I want to invite every citizen to focus. Coffee as the strategic crop is at the nerve center of the key livelihoods of our people. It should never be a divisive thing. And every stakeholder, including members of parliament, the presiding officers in parliament, must roll back their energies to focusing on critical legislation that will benefit our common peoples. The trading of insults across will not help our cause. I am a coffee farmer myself. I was educated on this crop. I know how critical, how sensitive the value chain, how sensitive the market is on quality, how sensitive the market is on all matters of quality and standards that you cannot achieve through a red tape system in a ministry like MIF. So I am inviting the minister to eat humble pie, climb down his high horse, come to the house, tail between legs, and withdraw this bill. There's no amount of explaining that will make it decent. There's no amount of exchange and the trading of insults will make any process. There's no presiding officer that will sit in that chair and preside over this matter and remains a decent bill for people to participate in. First of all, nobody has questioned the fact that he has ruled for close to 40 years. So all that has gone wrong with this industry has been done by his government. So that one we concede. And all that needs to be rectified must be done by him because he controls the state. Nobody's going to take that away from him. But then while he's doing that, he must know that we are aware of the failings of other sectors where he's been in charge. Can we appraise, for example, cotton over the last 15 or 20 years? Can we appraise gold, for instance? So I have read his document, and I concede he's responsible for all this. What has been right and wrong, he's responsible. But while he's trying to claim to rectify, he must listen. He must understand that there's nobody to defeat in this bill. Instead, he'll defeat himself if he insists. Whatever has been done under Operation Wealth Creation, remember my quarrel with him in Masaka, all the abuse people bringing oranges in Masaka, lemon and all that. So it's been a mess. And I think the efforts of private people, the efforts of individuals, the efforts of other agencies must be respected. through a deliberate consultative process. That's what I can say about his dossier. Nobody should really put on tribal lenses to see this. We are talking about a commodity that midwifed this economy prior independence. And because largely the investiture activities of the crop was in Uganda, probably the people in Uganda have a fairer understanding of the intricacies of this crop. And even when it was abandoned and the coffee sector devastated, people in Uganda never abandoned this crop. The bulk of us proudly from coffee growing areas probably have been floating above the national per capita income average. And therefore, that's why we speak about it with a lot of nostalgic attachment. You know, that should be understood without really any qualms. You know, the attachment of the people is deep. Pre-independence attachment. But because other areas have started growing coffee, which should really be appreciated, do not take away that historical perspective. And any government in power must understand that even when the governments were on their own, people on their own struggled and clung on the coffee crop. That's why I said there is no presiding officer, whether the Right Honorable Anita Mong or the Right Honorable Thomas Taiwa sitting in that chair will be able to sanitize this deal, no matter. That's why the decent thing to do is the withdrawal of the same. Because tribal undertones should never see a space like a parliament, where members of parliament and everybody attached to parliament must tower above the pettiness of their backyards to see Uganda in one big mirror, not through the ethnic lenses. So some of us growing up with a cosmopolitan outlook are constrained to discuss tribes, even when we are strongly attached to our backgrounds. We understand that we are a nation because others are, not because we are. No, that's the difference. Some of us view these things. And we are never constrained when tribes raise their ugly heads. We are not vulnerable. You know, as a Muganda, I don't feel vulnerable. I feel strong in my skin. And therefore, I want to invite everybody to feel strong in their skins. If we all feel strong, we shall come on the same table as citizens and discuss matters of this country without sentiments that run back our small, bloody streams. The debate is still alive. I'll debate. Unless as a senior journalist you have forgotten the processes of making a law. It's not closed. I'm around and I'll raise my issues. So there's still time. Probably it was also good that I was not around. When will others be heard? Some people had a chance to speak for the first time in Parliament. When some of us are around and overbearing, others hardly get space. It is as well good that other people's views are heard. My views on this sector were heard on the peanut issue, which I led commandingly, and the movers disappeared. They could return differently. But I'm around. And I don't think it is personal and it's about me. We have equally other senior legislators around. Probably the tasks are different. My approach to certain issues is different. But that is me and that is them. But ultimately, we're scoring the same net, and therefore should be able to pass on the ball to each other with a goal of scoring, But ultimately, on such national issues, nobody should be seen in a mirror of a loser or a winner. The country must win.